y'all for coming out to our August general monthly meeting for 2025. So typically, like we do before every meeting, we just gonna have a brief moment of silence. So that way, if anybody want to pray or have a reset, can do that at this time. Right. So we'll go ahead and get started. Just to do a brief roll call of our officers that are here tonight. So we do have our member at large, Miss Angela Whitlock. Thank you for joining us. I know you've been working and busy. If you're just waving the crowd, that's on my We have our second vice president, John Cox. And our first vice president is going to get some ice, but he will be back shortly. And also, let me not forget, because some people wear more than one hat. So John Cox, not only the second vice president, he's the education chair, as well as Jock LaRun is our Freedom Fund chair over our Freedom Fund committee. He's coming in now. So we are live, first vice president. So at this time, can I get a motion from the floor to accept the minutes from our July general meeting? Been the reading of those minutes since all that information is recorded.
I make the motion that we accept the minutes from the July meeting and the reading of the minutes of the information.
All right, motion given by second vice president. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second.
All right, got a second. And any discussion? All those in favor accepting the reading of accepting the minutes from last month as well as suspending the reading of those minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it's unanimous. All right, so moving forward with our meeting tonight, as always, we'll start with committee reports. So I'll let our education chair at this time turn the floor over to our education chair to come up first and present the July report for education committee.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So our meeting was held on July 28th at 7:30. Our members present were Education Chair John Cox, Youth Advisor Reese Walker, AXO Chair Shante Townsend, Education Committee Member Michelle Lewis, and Education Committee Member Shell. The July 28th, 25 education meeting covered August Town Hall planning, featured speakers confirmation, approval of the run-up show, review of student discipline and equity data, and a discussion of new opportunities for partnerships and resources. But the chair led a discussion to finalize details for the August Town Hall, during which the committee approved proposed dates of August 18th, 19th, and August 25th and 26th, with the exact time and location to be determined by Dr. Taylor, likely at a local school in the evening, any early. The committee agreed that the primary audience would be parents and students, with promotion to include flyers distributed through schools, digital flyers, I should say, through the schools. Post on social media, outreach to faith-based organizations, and possible radio, newspaper, and neighborhood engagement. Featured speakers were confirmed as Dr. Thigpen, Caldwell, Parker, and Taylor, and possible principal Bussey. The run-up show for the town hall was approved, incorporating topics such as the superintendent search process, wraparound supports for families, transportation equity, and academic test preparation for AP exams, SATs, ACT, and we added the military exam, college access, and scholarships for underrepresented students, CCRPI alignment, and standard test scores, addressing disparities across school clusters, and the use of QR codes to connect attendees with resources. The chair presented the update on district student discipline and equity efforts, noting that 93.2% of students had no OERs, office disciplinary referrals, within school suspension, within school suspension, down 15%, and out of school suspension down 12%. Though this proportionality remained high for Black students. We highlighted district initiatives, including anti-bias training for teachers, deployment of behavioral coaches, restorative rooms, and the REAL framework. REAL meaning respectful, engaged, accountable. Michelle Lewis, a high school teacher, shared positive results from adapting to Cooler Mills restorative practice at her high school, and Reese Walker suggested adding ASWAB preparation to the town hall agenda. The meeting concluded with the review of next steps, including confirming the town hall schedule with Dr. Taylor, expanding promotional outreach, coordinating with community partners, compiling QR codes for success for resources, and exploring improvements that so hall monitoring and phone policies. Summary, the motion to approve August town hall date was made by Lisa Michelle, seconded by Michelle Lewis. Motion to approve featured speakers as stated, made by Reese Walker, seconded by Michelle Lewis. Motion to approve the round show with allowance for future statements, made by Reese Walker and seconded by Shantae Hamilton. And that concludes my education committee report. Go ahead.
Okay, I think we got an update on the location of the town hall, so keep that
Are you
information.
going to be set up in this one or the next
Shit, it is.
one? So a lot of what's on here because we meet at the end of the month. So a lot of what's on there has been accomplished. But of course, we have to report from that particular meeting, right? Because this goes to national. What's actually been accomplished will probably come up on our next one. So you'll just be hearing this twice. So we have the Discovery High School as our place for the meeting. It will be actually in September, on September the 15th. And that's just because we kind of asked for some things, and then there is the new milestones achievements will be in the work session coming up. And so we want to make sure we have that information in our account. So instead of doing it before it, do it after. So we capture all that information. We have some questions. We want to acknowledge the success of what's happening with regards to discipline, right? And it's hard to see because as the actual numbers go down, population is increasing, so it almost looks like things are staying the same. So it looks like a wash, but the work is being done. And I'm more excited about the fact that the work is being done in the way that the work is being done. Because I believe that work is going to be very impactful, because to me, it's very hard to require something from a kid and they don't even know what you're talking about. You know, you're asking for a behavior that might not be normal for them, given their culture.
Right.
There may be some ways that their culture, and once again, we have over 100 and something countries represented in WIN, so you can understand that. So to me, teach the behavior that you want, and then hold them accountable after you've taught it.
Yeah.
So they hire behavior coaches, and also there's some anti-bias work that needed to be done. That was a result of the study that the Vanderbilt study. Dr. Walsh from Vanderbilt. He did a study and found that there's some anti-bias work that needs to be done. That work has been done. Everybody's been trained. So we're looking forward to that. We know that these type of efforts have to be sustained for about 4 years before you start seeing consistent results, right? So if you stay consistent and you work through it, studies show that in about 3 or 4 years, you'll see dramatic results and they'll be consistent, they'll remain. So we're working on that. We're hoping that they continue with that. The only thing that we want to add, where we see the opportunities are, is, and we'll have those discussions before the town hall so that, you know, maybe those can be part of the discussion. And, you know, hopefully I'll get a chance to speak before the board and ask about that. It's home monitoring. And then bell-to-bell confiscation of phones, you know. right? Because we understand that cyberbullying is a thing. And cyberbullying on the social media playground can happen 24 hours a day, right? And for some kids it does, right? And we know we have a zero cyberbullying policy as well as a zero bullying policy. So there have been a number of schools, and I have research and data on that, a number of schools that have done both. Actually, one of our local schools, South Gwinnett, has put both in place, and they've had dramatic results. Their reported results to the media is that they've had a reduction in fights of 82%. That's a large number of reduction in fights just by combining the two, not doing one together, because we know that the cyberbullying would have ranged for fights in the bathrooms, right? Because the bathrooms have no cameras, or in places where there were no cameras. So having the hall monitors helps reduce that because it takes away the opportunity for the offenses. And then also having the hall monitors is another big problem is absenteeism or AWOL when it comes to cutting classes. So having hall monitors patrolling the halls has cut that down as well. So I think with these intentional things, we'll be fine. And I think President Charles, anything else you want me to give before the next meeting?
No, that's it. That's it. Let me get more questions.
Yeah, any questions? I'll take it.
What day did you say the next town hall would be? And did you say it's gonna be at Discovery?
No. So, oh yes, our town hall is our first town hall, education town hall, and it will be at Discovery. That's September 15th.
September, okay.
Mhm. It is very important to either watch or go through this next work session because of the milestone information. You know, you don't have to go, you can watch it. And if you didn't watch last month's work session, the work session is the most important. If you watch last month, you'll have a lot of information to be able to participate in the town hall event because we'll be discussing a lot of that stuff. Any other questions?
Time for the town hall?
7.
Okay.
7, right? That's about accurate because we have the space from 6 to 9.
Okay.
6 is just to get everybody in place, and then we'll start around 7, and we'll go to about 8:30, which is a half an hour to clear the building. Any other questions? We're good. Okay, good. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Vice President. All right, so at this time, we'll turn it over to our first Vice President and Freedom Fund Chair, Dr. Runny, to give us an update on the Freedom Fund Banquet.
All right, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So we held our regular meeting second Mondays, which was this past Monday. And during that meeting, we got reports from the different subcommittees. So we basically have six subcommittees on corporate solicitations, church solicitations, awards and acknowledgements, ticket management, logistics, and program and entertainment. So these committees are working towards making sure that we have a strong and positive experience at the event on September 20th. After gathering the report, one of the things we focused on is ticket sales, purchasing tables. So I was glad to hear from Angela, one of our members at large. She was telling me her church is working on getting a table, so that's awesome. And also too, we're working with corporate sponsors so they could sponsor the event. So that's our big key thing, and then just basically making sure that the event is well advertised so we can have basically a packed event. So if you haven't bought your ticket yet, don't make me get mad at you. Okay, so get your ticket because the next thing I want to announce is for our new business, we had a table price reduction. So until the 20th of August, so that's basically next week. So if the normal price is $1,500, but and that's 10 seats, So so we reduced it to 1,300. So if you can if you are thinking about getting a table, make sure you talk to me. So I could put you on the list, otherwise the date flips, you know? So make sure you reach out to me, so I can, reserve a table for you and we can start, I'll lock it in there. And I'll share some strategies because I was talking to Angela about that. I've been table host many times over the past years for different events. And what I found to be successful is have a list. If you're going to get a table of 10, have a list of 15, 20 people. Stuff happened. I just had an event and right in the middle of it, two couples, one ended up being in Italy. The other couple had a death in the family. The husband's mother was passing away. And so I had to quickly, move to next down the line. And point that you do buy a table when you have those seats like it happened to me, reach out to people, connect with other people, and you'll find out that towards the end, a lot of people would be jumping in last minute, and you could have your seat fully covered. The next thing that we voted on was price reduction. So the tickets were $150, we dropped to $125. Okay, because at the end of the day, the event is about members, and I know for the county, we're not accustomed to having the Freedom Fund in regular basis, but that's one of my goals and vision is that everybody is expecting to win an ACP Freedom Fund Banquet and are ready for it, and can't wait for it. But until we start having 2 or 3 of those and people are really, satisfied and really excited, then it's not going to happen. So we're counting on you to be part of that and create that buzz and that excitement. So get your tables, get your tickets. So the price has been dropped to $125 until August 27th. Now you have to be a member.
Okay.
If you're not a member, you cannot get that price.
Okay.
Now, however, we have a new secretary. She may not know how to check and see if you joined yesterday or if you've been a member for 10 years, So get your tickets for $125. That's all I'm saying. Okay. So we have a few other things that we're planning, like silent auction and things of that nature. So we're working towards really making sure that this is a very well, planned event, an exciting event, and so that everybody can really enjoy it. So you should already know the county chairwoman is our honorary chair, and she's been giving us a lot of great support. We already have our speaker, Dr. Black, so he's all excited. And the event is named after our last most active and hardworking president, Reverend John Stewart, who we lost back in 2006. So we really wanted to make sure that it's something really exciting that reflects the work we do and that allows us and the work we do to have a moment to take a break and just pause and just as we go through all the facts that we go through. And this is my report submitted to the body for acceptance. Okay.
Well, we'll do that at the end. Okay. Any questions?
Any questions? Yes.
I have a question.
Sure. Oh, excellent question, Mr. Secretary. The event will be at the Beaufort Community Center, which is in Beaufort. Okay.
And who's catering the event?
Oh, man, the caterer is awesome. His name is David, Chef David. And man, we had a tasting of his food and he fed us. He didn't give us a taste. He fed us. So if he does that, and he hasn't even gotten paid yet. We had loads of food. I had my family was loaded with packs of food just to give us a tasting. So I can't imagine what he's going to do at the event. So I'm really excited about that.
So shared budget for food?
The what?
Budget.
Absolutely. So the budget for food is coming out to about $10,000. for 240 people. So the budget really, to be frank, that takes the biggest thing, to make sure that everybody.
So would you say with that amount of food that the two people would get that playbook?
I would say that people's, and that's what I was addressing just a minute ago. I anticipate, and I've spoken to people that have gone to events that he's catered, and in my interaction with him, he is a good brother. He's about making the event special, and he's been doing it for 15 years. So he didn't just pop out of the box. He's been around for a while. And so the way Youth Free Community Center works, they have an approved list of people, and he's on that approved list. Okay, so that means that they've had good experience with him throughout. Otherwise, he would not be on that list. So,
And then one last question.
Mhm.
Who's going to be the DJ for this event?
Should I break it down?
Finalized, yes.
Should I break it down?
Or
So,
Till you finalize.
yeah, we were working on getting that finalized, because we do have a DJ in tow who we have a couple of backups, so before I start spreading words and then he's like, oh, it's not, so they're gonna have me, I want to raise the price now. So, because, so we want to make sure that his name doesn't get out there until we got him inked to pen, but we have a couple of good DJs that'll keep it rocking for the night.
And we did lose connection online, so can you just go over one more time about the reduced price on the table and how long is that change for organizations, churches, politicians that may,
Absolutely. So, we took some votes at our last meeting on Monday where the table price was reduced to $1,300 from $1,500. So that gives it a nice little extra wiggle room to purchase tables. And that's gonna go on until for another week or so. Okay. Then for the ticket price, we reduced it from $150 to $125.
or who?
Oh, yeah. So that's gonna go on until August 27th. However, you must be a member to get that price, okay? And if you're not a member, well, become a member. It's that simple, And then that answers your question?
Yes.
Okay. So, you mentioned about the getting tables. So if you're, if you're in the political arena, you want to get a table to get some real exposure. It's going to be a month before elections, so you might want to have a table that has your name there, displayed, and so people can have you on their mind throughout the night, and you get announced as a table host and be on the screen. So if you're an elected official and you want to make sure that you're getting exposure, or you're a candidate, you want to make sure you're getting exposure, or organization or business or whatever, get a table. That's all I can say. All right. Thank you.
All right, so at this time, I will go over the submitted reports from our other standing committees. I'll start in the order I received them. So as far as our AXO committee, they met, the last meeting was July the 20th at 7:30 p.m., including myself, AXO Chair Shante Stroud, committee member Erica, Lisa Walker, Lead Advisor, Mr. Sherrod. Pretty much during that particular meeting, they recapped what happened at the national convention. We did have two local contestants that went to the national AXO competition, which were Alexis and Hazel. Alexis Peterson, Hazel Tetty Cambridge. Alexis competed in poetry performance. Hazel Tetty Cambridge competed in photography. Unfortunately, they did not place this particular year, but we were proud of them to be there. For those who may not know, we have not sent any students from Gwinnett County to AXO in about 20 years, about the last time.
Mm.
We sent it. So it's probably like around maybe 2006, 2005, since we last sent any students. So we was very proud of them to be there. It was a great experience for everyone. So they did, the AXO chair did provide, feedback to the committee on how they can, better prep students for 2026. And also came up with some suggestions about fundraising going into the new year. They also agreed to, even though we had mentorships for the students, but the AXO chair mentioned that she will do a better job of making sure that the students are engaging those mentors to help them prep for the national AXO competition. And that was really it. The next AXO competition will be in Chicago, Illinois. So any parents or students that are watching tonight, we will fund your trip to Chicago, either by plane or by bus. I know with these crazy things happen with planes, people may want to take the bus now. Or you may want to drive and just, get your gas stipend, cover your gas there and back. So the final thing was they did discuss a budget for AXO for next year, given the fact that we're going to be looking to take anywhere between about 6 to, well, I say, it says 6 to 8. We talked today is we're thinking more 8 to 10 students, hopefully, that will place. Of course, it could be more than that. So tentative budget was discussed for next year of trying to raise 25 to 30,000. And that'll just be a mix of donations, fundraising, hopefully some nice donors will give us a few dollars, things like that to raise those funds. And so their next meeting is on this coming Sunday at 6:30, which is August the 17th. That ends the report for AXO. Any questions?
Excellent.
AXO, so that stands for Afro Academic, Cultural, Technological, Scientific Olympics. So it's pretty long, but it's ACT, like ACT-SO, AXO.
Gotcha.
Yes. So it's pretty much our art and STEM competition. Yep. Any other questions? All right, so we'll move to the next report. Let's see, so legal redress. All right, so our legal redress committee met on July 30th. And that is chaired by Attorney Daryl Mans. Those who was in attendance for that meeting was Attorney Mans, myself, President Paul, Attorney Karen, Ellie, Political Action Committee Chair Ellie Walker, Valerie Rowe, Attorney Ramona Toole, Member at Large Ray Harbin, Secretary Shanika Levin, and Dominique McCormick. Pretty much they covered the upcoming Freedom Fund event as well as any outstanding complaints. Ray Harbin did cover his complaint with Ms. Halls, who had a son that was in jail but had been released. By the time they spoke, her son had retained an attorney and there was nothing else for NACP to do. Another complaint came in on Ms. Hinton, who had an issue with the zoning ordinance. Pretty much because it wasn't a civil rights issue, the committee members advised that she seek a zoning attorney with that. We did explain how challenging it would be because she wanted to basically have her home zoned and turned into a like a old senior home.
Home health.
Yeah, and we, explain the challenges with that because again, it's a residential neighborhood. If the people in the community don't want it, it's going to be very challenging to get Gwinnett County to approve something like that. So our recommendation was for her to seek an attorney. They provide some details of how she can do that if she want to pursue it legally. And update on the Lewis twins. Or as right now, the last we heard, GBI was supposed to be returning the evidence over to the family had a third-party company that receives evidence and hold it. And so the cases should be officially closed now. So we do hope to get the evidence from GBI and via open records request, so we can try to learn more with all the evidence that they had. For those who are not familiar with the case, the Lewis twins was Kadir and Nazir Lewis, who were found passed away or deceased up in Belmont. I'm trying to use my words carefully because we all believe it was a little more to that. And so that was the discussion about that particular case complaint. The committee also discussed, of course, the upcoming Freedom Fund Banquet, which will be on September the 20th at 6 o'clock. And then lastly, they're in discussion about a Know Your Rights campaign, which was originally scheduled for August 26th at 6:30, but it since then has been moved to a TBD date, so it's to be determined. Hopefully, we can get it scheduled for the last Wednesday of next month. That was the last discussion I had with the Attorney Mans. Of course, we're going to try to invite both the sheriff and law enforcement. And it's not a Know Your Rights campaign necessarily about immigration. I know there've been a lot of, although we probably will do one about immigration with everything going on with ICE, this is actually about if you get pulled over by law enforcement, what are the proper procedures that you need to take, especially with everything happening now, if you get stopped by law enforcement. So that's what that particular event will be about. And that ends the legal redress report. Questions?
I got one.
Sure.
Can we reach out to Chief McCool to see if we can get someone from him staff to?
Yes. Did I not say GCPD and, I'm sorry, so GCPD and Gwinnett County Sheriff Department will be partners. Any other question?
What date and time is that event?
To be determined. Right now, I would say tentatively will be the last Wednesday in September, but we're still trying to get that laid down. But we will send it out to everyone. We will have flyers on social media for those who are members. You'll get the email with the updated date. Any other questions around the legal redress report? All right, hearing none, I will move on to membership. All right, that's the wrong one. I'll pull it up here. So the membership committee met. They did not have a meeting for the month of August, so I'm gonna move on. The way their meetings fall, their meetings is always before our general meeting. So since they did not meet this month, I'm going to their meeting. Go to the political action committee. And for those of you who may be dropping questions in the chat, I'll answer your question shortly. Unfortunately, I'm a one-man band with the streaming service tonight. So let's see. Political action. All right, so the political action committee met on July the 21st at 8 o'clock. Those who was in the meeting was myself, President Paul, Political Action Committee Chair Ellie Walker, Dominique McCormick, Toya McNabb, Shirley Renee, Vivian Stevens, Juanita Johnson, Austin, and Ms. Naheem. The committee opened up in discussion about the upcoming, they discussed the results of the Public Service Commission primary runoff on the Democratic side of the ballot and talked about setting up a meet the candidate forum for the fall. So they began preliminary discussions about that in partnership with Delta Sigma Theta, Sorority Incorporated. We put it all on there if I get called out. So that is still being planned tentatively right now. I guess I'll give an update since she's not here. That is tentatively being planned on National Voter Registration Day. We're still trying to confirm that at least half of the candidates can be there. For those who don't know, we do have a Public Service Commissioner race this fall. Public Service Commissioner is the position that regulates the utility companies, so water, gas, electricity, broadband, or internet. They regulate those prices. They also decide and help put restrictions in or help expand broadband in areas where people may be in rural areas where they can't get good quality internet. They're the ones that move the needle in terms of making sure those areas get internet service. So if you care about your light bill being high, if you want good quality, affordable internet, that is an election you definitely want to go vote. That is a statewide election. You can put both candidates, get to elect both candidates. So definitely participate in that on the first Tuesday in November will be the election day. So they did talk about that particular candidate form. Ellie also did go over some discussion about the Democracy Summit. Well, actually, I've discussed my experience at the Democracy Summit. As I stated in the last meeting, I won't be long about that, is the marching orders from the national office. We have to build political power at the state and local level, given how hostile this current national administration is. We have to mobilize and organize to not only vote for the municipal races this fall, but for the state election races next year. So it's House of Representatives at the state level, state senator, governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, and the main one, which nobody's talking about enough, which is attorney general. So if y'all tie these executive orders, you're going to elect an attorney general that's going to sue this clown we got in office and take him to court and block some of the nonsense that's happening. Because right now, we don't unfortunately have an attorney general that's he'll sue his opponent, but he ain't gonna sue Trump. So that's enough. That's all I say about that. So the committee also discussed a series of an upcoming town hall as well. So this is a political action committee town hall that's ran by the political action committee. That date has actually been set. And if you give me about 10 seconds and I'll tell you. So that date has been set for October. They give me a little more than 10 seconds. I'll tell you. The date has been set for October the 14th at 6:30 p.m. at the Norcross Cultural Arts and Community Center. Pretty much the town hall will just be, of course, it'll be in collaboration with a lot of different organizations, Galeo, as well as the Asian American Fund or AAAF have all agreed to partner. We're looking to bring in some more additional partners to be part of that town hall. And it'll just be a discussion about current events. We're going to talk about the big ugly bill, which is HR 1. And then we're going to open it up to the community to come out in that Norcross area or surrounding areas to talk about whatever y'all feel like y'all want to talk about, whatever's happening in the community. Again, as I always like to say, we want to make sure our advocacy is always matching up with what the issues are on the ground. So, they will at least give a half an hour to 45 minutes for people to either make a comment, make a statement, just ask that you keep it clean because it will be live stream and some kids may be watching. But, air your frustration of what's going on. We want to hear from you. So, but the main goal is to talk about mobilizing and organizing and the importance of matching public policy to real world issues. So it's going to be a series of 4 town halls that the committee agreed to doing. One starting in October, which will be in Norcross. Snellville will have its own town hall sometime between, I would say, February, March. We'll have another one in Liburn, which will be in May. And then the final one will be October of next year in Millersville. So the goal is to do 4 town hall series. We'll have different guest speakers that's going to be up talking. And please come out and support that. It'll be free. We ain't charging anything. We're going to feed you. So let's pack the house out and have some discussion about what we need to do. So we're not waiting until next year to focus on next year's elections or even this fall's election. We're doing it now. So please come out and support. And I think that ends our report. Of course, we will have a number of meet the candidate forms. Oh, I'm sorry, I left this out. So there will be an email going out to membership and those who follow us on our mail list, where you can sign up to do door-to-door canvassing. We'll be doing door-to-door canvassing for the municipal election this fall. There will be some door-to-door canvassing for public service commissioners this fall. There will be phone banking this fall, and some of the positions will be paid. Most of it will be volunteer. So, of course, with the pay, you're going to have a minimum amount of hours we're going to expect you to work, and there's going to be a minimum amount of doors and phone calls we're going to ask you to make. Of course, when you volunteer, you can go at your own pace. All we ask is at least 2 to 4 hours of your time. And you split that up half, we're gonna do those 2 to 4 hours. And when you volunteer, that ain't for the people that's gonna get paid. So be on the lookout for that. And we will have some candidate forums for the municipal election this fall. Dates to be determined. So we're gonna be, once qualifying is over with, which I think is over at about the end of the next week, then we will be reaching out to those candidates who have officially qualified to be on the ballot in November. And we'll have a number of media candidate forums for city council, maybe even for mayor, for all the different municipal races. We're looking to do at least 5 of those, which all of those will be streamed virtually. Next political action committee meeting will be on Monday, August the 18th at 8 p.m. And that will be virtual. Any questions about that?
For the town halls and for the forums, will there be an opportunity for those who cannot be present to submit questions beforehand?
So
Waiting
we
on
will
the
have
live stream.
somebody, won't be me running this. So somebody will be running the live stream live. So if you got questions, please drop them in the chat. We will allow opportunity for those questions to be asked.
But outside of the live stream, will there be an opportunity for questions to be presented at the town hall or at the forum?
Yeah, if you're there live or watching live, you'll be able to ask your question. Not Friday, no. If you ain't watching it live, you're not there, you're not taking no questions. Because we want to reward the people that showed up, and we want to reward people that's watching.
Okay,
So-
so here's another question. So for those who will be there live, or, I mean, obviously on the chat, you'll see the questions as they come in. Will there be some type of way where people can have the questions that they have, and that way they can be addressed in a numerical fashion instead of waiting for a hand raise or, I'm just wondering.
We haven't ironed out the logistics,
Gotcha.
but you serve on the political action committee, so let's talk about it. Ag meeting is coming up, I think, on Monday. Yeah, on Monday.
What time was that meeting?
So the political action committee meets every third Monday at 8 p.m. Yep. Any other questions? That's it. Okay. And I apologize to the Madam Secretary who is not here. I did not submit a report on her behalf for the Communications Committee, but I'll do a brief overview of what we talked about since I had to run the meeting. So the Communications Committee met on this past Tuesday, August the 14th, and pretty much the committee went over another review of StreamYard, how to use it. We solicited volunteers to run our upcoming virtual and in-person events. So we went over talked about the different skill set of what everybody can do. Pretty much everybody on the committee pretty much stated that they know how to do flyers in Canva. Some people even said they know how to do newsletters and media advisories. So we're excited about those who are coming into our communications committee. I'm gonna get them up to speed and hopefully get them an account set up so they can help with our social media as well, even though we do have a paid team that runs our social media account, but they're only gonna be with us to the end of the year. And so the committee will be transitioning to take that over. But I am very proud of the members that have joined that committee. So if you are going to school for media, got some media marketing talent, please join our communications committee. They meet every second Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. virtually. Questions about that report? Hearing none. So at this time, we'll keep it moving on our agenda. And I think the next part of the agenda is the secretary report. And since both the secretary, Shaniqua, is not here, she's out of town on vacation, and the assistant secretary is stuck at work and couldn't leave, I'm going to switch it up today. So I'm gonna I remember at large, they kind of they are executive committee members, so they play like a joker role. They kind of take over when some of the other officers can't come in. So at this time, I'm allow Angela Whitlock, a long time NACP member, come up to, present the secretary report.
Good evening.
But if
Good evening.
I have the totals for the, that was reported by the Assistant Secretary. Total number of active members is 201. Total number of life members, gold and silver, 8. Total number of life subscribing members, gold and silver, 21. New subscribing members since our last meeting, 2. Number of members expiring in the next 60 days is 14. I hope you have no questions.
Right, thank you for that update. Secretary. So the next agenda item is the president's report, and it's just a little bit different. I won't be doing a report every meeting, but I feel like, if there's something important that we need to cover, I would definitely like to go over it. So, well, actually, the next agenda item is, no, it is president's report. So president's report. So I had a number of different meetings, myself, second vice president, first vice president, member at large, Ray Harvin, and they was in different ones. But we had a bunch of round robin meetings with different department officials with Gwinnett County. So I met with Ms. Stevens, who's the county admin. For those who are unfamiliar with that position, his relationship to the county commissioner is very similar to the superintendent's relationship to the Board of Education or school board. So he's the executive. He pretty much oversees the operation of the county. We had a great meeting. Very down to earth guy. For those who may not know him or never met him, he's very down to earth, very pleasurable. So I'm looking to work with him. So that way, if there's any breakdown with some of the operations of the county, we on now first name basis, so we can reach out to him and have some discussion about what's going on. So nothing too major to report about that, other than we got a really good county admin, and I really enjoyed, spending a lot of time getting to know him, getting to know his background, and things of that nature. We also met with the housing director and the housing chair of Gwinnett County. Are some concerns. One of the things we discussed was the lack of affordable housing in District 3, which is sort of Loganville, Grayson, Snellville area. So gonna be trying to set up some type of meeting with Commissioner Watkins, see how we can get some funding on this side of the county to address some of the gaps in affordable housing, because there really are none. But the great thing that came out of that particular meeting with the housing director was the fact that we, as an organization, we got a map of all the different organizations that can help people find housing. We recently just got at least I got a call the other day today actually, about a legal redress future complaint that's coming up, where a young lady is homeless, living out of her car, she needs a place to stay. So that means very beneficial to our organization, because now we have a Rolodex, a list of organizations where we can send them that will be shared with the Legal Redress Committee to guide people when they're looking for a place to stay. So whether it's homeless shelter, whether they're looking for a place to lease, as far as affordable housing is concerned, whether they're looking for a place to buy for affordable housing. It is distributed throughout the county, but as I said, there is a gap in District 3 when it comes to that. And so we're going to try to work towards that. Another interesting thing that came out of that meeting is the only people pumping money to the local level for funding for affordable housing is the federal. At least it was. It ain't no more, but at least the federal when former President Joe Biden was in office, and the county. There's no money coming in from the state of Georgia. So y'all keep that in mind when y'all looking for who you want to support for governor in 2026. The state of Georgia is not sending any funding, even though they got a $30-something billion surplus, to the local level. So, and not only governor, but also state house and state senate, because they got the purse anyway. They're the ones that got to push the laws through, and governor just the last to sign. So when you looking at who you're going to be supporting in your district, the state house, the lieutenant governor as well, if it comes to that. If you want to look at who's supporting for who to support for governor, lieutenant governor, state house, state senate in your district, that needs to be a question that you ask. Hey, if you get elected, will you support? We do got, I think, a couple of, or at least a candidate that's running for one of the state positions. I give him an opportunity to at least introduce himself briefly. This is not support either for no candidate, but just since he's here, I'm going to introduce himself and let him talk. We'll get to that at the end of the meeting. But when you all are looking for these candidates that are running for elected office, the state house, state senate, governor, lieutenant governor, one of the things, and you probably need to ask is, we all support affordable housing. You know, we got definitely a homeless crisis, especially in Atlanta and parts outside of Metro Atlanta, even in parts of Gwinnett County. You know, these people need somewhere to go. And the fact that the state has got all this money sitting on all these billions of dollars, and we're relying on either the county or the federal government, which we don't have a federal government right now, to support that, you know, it's kind of ridiculous. So just keep that in mind. That was a really good tidbit that I got from the housing chair. And so our very last meeting, and one that's very close to me, I met with the Parks and Recreational Center director, very great, good brother, African-American gentleman. We had great conversation. One of the things that's organizationally that we are going to be championing between now and going into next year is for a new Parks and Recreational Center to be built at Bay Creek for multiple reasons. Number one, that is the fastest growing part of our county, and the kids do not have a recreational center in that part of the county. So, and they realize that's a big hole. The second reason, and equally I think as important, is that area does not have an early voting precinct, or has not had an early voting precinct. It does have one now, which is the fire station off of Zora Road in Loganville. However, I think that's considered Loganville. However, it only got 4 voting machines. And for that part of the county that has that huge mass of people, it's not enough. It's that 4 voting machines is not enough for that part of the county. The closest precinct to that Loganville Grayson corridor is the BP Baldwin building of the Gwinnett voter registration election building off Grayson Highway. However, that, for those who know, during a typical election year with midterm or presidential, is the line is, you know, wrapped around the building. And that's because you're getting people from Lawrenceville, you're getting people from Grayson, you get people that lives off of 124, Snellville portion of 124 and the Lawrenceville portion, all voting at that same building. So our demand going into 2026 is for a Parks and Recreational Center to be built at Bay Creek Park. That's going to be something our organization is going to be championing going into 2026. I've been told by the director he will let me know when we need to mobilize and organize to vote on there's funds be set aside in the upcoming slots for the year of, I think he said 2028 or even 2029, to earmark those resources for a park to be built. I've already been in conversation with Congressman Scott, Senator Ossoff's team, Senator Warnock's team, and had preliminary conversation about a support for federal funds to help get this done. So we're not going to, just spend all of Gwinnett County's tax dollars. We're going to try to also get some federal funding to help make this project a reality. So I'll be, and the rest of the leadership team will be working behind the scenes to make this happen. So all thing we asking from the public is, when it's time to go to the county meetings to say, hey, we need a park over there, we need y'all support, especially if you live in the Loganville, Grayson part of the county. Again, I think right now the money is earmarked for the upcoming year for Lenore Park and Human Activity Center to get upgrades. And so those upgrades should be finished next year. From what I've been told, those facilities will have art and cultural center. It will have more community rooms. They'll have game rooms. It's going to be a beautiful facility. So if you want an idea of what that park in Bay Creek will look like when those upgrades go into effect, that's what kind of what it's going to look like. And so all we're asking from the community is when it's time to show up, whether you live in that area or not, you still feel look out for these kids. The local migration corridor of the county is predominantly African American part of the county. We want our kids to have something to do. You know, when they got things to do, especially during the summer, whether it's swimming, whether it's, you know, shooting basketball inside it, because it also will have an indoor gym that's part of the setup. You know, we want something to do, to give them something to do. And like I said, that part of the county does need an early voting precinct. I know for a fact the Board of Registration and Election, since I've been part of this organization, have been looking for a permanent early voting precinct in that part of the county and have been unsuccessful over the last 5 years finding one. So that will also solve that issue as well. So definitely, we'll, you know, once those meetings are happening next year, communication will go out from our communications committee, from our secretary, to both the public and internal communications, so that we can mobilize and organize to make that a reality. Final thing I'll touch on from the president's report is which one? Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it. So we did meet with Congressman Hank Johnson as well. That was a great meeting. It was good to establish a relationship. Myself, Second Vice President John Cox, Jacques Laurent, and Member at Large Ray Harbin. Good communication. Again, we're setting up, we met kind of now with all the different congressmen, at least on the Democratic side. We're waiting to eventually, hopefully, talk to the Republicans. You know, we'll see. Hopefully, they'll take a meeting with us because we nonpartisan. So we'll talk to them too. We still, I mean, they still are constituents. But we met with the two senators, and then, like I said, we met with Representative Hank Johnson. It's a great discussion. We will be in conversation with him about certain things from a federal level that we feel like he can help us with. And so we look forward to that dialogue and that relationship. And am I missing anything else? All right, meetings. I think I covered them all that we all had over the last months. Okay, so I think, oh, the only other thing I will say, we did meet, sorry, they have one more, with Zach, and excuse me for missing his last name, Zach Manifold, which is the election supervisor. One of the concerns we have is with Rose Jordan Park for signage. So our organization will be making a statement at the upcoming Board of Registration election meeting about the poor signage at Rose Jordan, because it is a big park and the community center is in the back. And for whatever reason, for the last 5 years, when I was poll monitor in 2020, when I was political action committee chair in 2021 and 2022, the signage was terrible. And then, of course, last year when I was president, it was reactivated. Signage was terrible then, and in 2025, still was terrible signage. So we are going to have a list of some demands that we're going to make in order to help improve the signage at the Board of Registration, at Rose Jordan Park at the upcoming Board of Registration election meeting. And for those, we welcome the community to definitely come out and attend and make public comment, especially if you live in that area and you didn't even know Rose Jordan was an early voting precinct during the elections. Definitely come out and make public comment about that. The upcoming Board of Registration election meetings on August 20th at 6 o'clock, right here at the Gwinnett Justice Administration Building in the auditorium. Any questions about any of those reports? I know there was a lot of information.
August 20th.
Yes, it's the next Board of Registration election in August 20th. For those watching online, I'm going to answer your questions shortly. But Jock, can you answer any questions online that anybody may have? Or you can, you know. Now I'll give it a minute or two if Jock, just in case somebody has questions online. I think somebody did
Okay,
ask.
somebody said they were very lost in Rose Jordan. So if you could recap real quick about what's going on with Rose Jordan.
So Rose Jordan, pretty much.
Okay, go ahead. Okay.
Yeah, the issue with Rose Jordan is the fact that it's poor signage. So during the election season, but it's early voting on election day, there's lack of signage so people can know where to go in Rose Jordan Park to get to the voting precinct. So that's been an ongoing issue for 5 years now. It's the reason Rose Jordan has lack of traffic. They're one of the lowest early voting precincts in the county because of the lack of traffic. You know, like I said, it's causing overcrowding. Outside of what I said in the previous segment about us advocating for a park in the local precinct because they don't have one, and because all of the development, you only got that crowd overwhelming the voter registration election building. You have the people that live near Rose Jordan who should be voting near at that particular precinct going to the voter registration election building because there's not enough signage to advertise that you can come here and vote. There's usually not any lines.
So the comment, I'm getting a little more, a better context now.
Okay.
So they were basically saying, carry on with pursuing that. Cause they said, please do, because I was definitely very lost in Rose Jordan. So it sounds like somebody that, votes at Rose Jordan and found it troublesome. So they're in support of what we're doing.
Okay, so
Yeah,
they need more of the small signs with the arrows to direct them
not really.
or,
But it ain't that too.
Okay.
The issue is they're underserved because out on the road that leads them to the park, there's minimal signage, and sometimes you can't see it.
There's
So people
just
don't know where to go. And-
yeah.
But also, there are not enough signs along the way to lead you all the way back if you're not someone who utilizes the park.
Yes, I go early at
My-
Rose Jordan, way in the back.
My solution is, one of the reasons that they discuss having difficulty having the signs out there is because the wind can blow them down and there's nobody to monitor the sign. There's traffic on the corner, so you don't want, sometimes it looks like they're afraid to put the signs there. If they blow into the street, nobody will know. So my solution for that is to have these poles up, multiple poles up on the corners where they can be used for any event in the park to direct people in the park. But when it comes time for voting, they're staked into the ground, cemented into the ground, and you can put the signs up that says there's voting in the park. If there's a festival in the park, you can use it for that too. So it's multiple ways to use the sign, but it's also just as a fixed place for them to put that advertisement of what's going on. So you don't have to worry about it blowing over, when there's an election.
And let me be clear, because so that's not what the county told us, but that is a great idea.
Mhm.
It's not that the signs are blowing up. They're not getting put out. We don't know why.
Well, when I did the poll monitoring, that's where it says we put the signs out there. There's no one down there to monitor the signs.
Well,
And they have the small signs, and that's the ones that they do put. But the small signs you can't see because there's a sign out. The sign that says that you can go into the park, there's a sign out front in the entrance that belongs to the park. But when you put that little sign there, you can't see it from the other side coming over.
so let me say this from what that's John's experience.
Yeah,
I'm talking about my experience with the leadership team of the elections. They don't know why the signage is not going out. First I thought maybe, I was told when I met with the supervisor during the primary election for the PSC, that was the one that Daniel Blackman was suspended from, or was taken off the ballot. That the reason that the poll manager advised me that they didn't get the signs, so they just put out what they had. I met with the election supervisor after that happened, and they had a record that they were sent 12 signs. So I don't know what the breakdown is. We met with him a second time after the runoff, and it was the same issues, lack of signs. And at that time, we were told that 20 signs were ordered, and the sign still was not put out. Now, we asked about checks and balances. What are the checks and balances with putting the signs out? And we were told it's the area manager responsibility to deliver the signs, and he or she does have a checklist where they check off that the signs are out. So if they gave them 20 signs, all 20 signs were put out. However, this person checked that all the signs put out, but the signs wasn't put out. So, and I was told that was their best person. At least that's what I was told. So once again, I don't know if it's intentional or not, but it's problematic for us, and we will have some intentional.
So, as someone who's been a recent captain, That was some years back, but basically I was given all the signs to put out on my location. So I have to be there since 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, so we could open up, get set up and open up at 7 a.m. And what I would say is that find out we have an upcoming election, find out who's the precinct manager, make sure that's done, because that person needs to make sure that's there. That's part of their role, is to make sure that everything's in place. I don't know if they changed procedures since then, because I was pre-COVID, but I would find out what the procedure is, which you kind of outline, but make sure that that person leaves for Rose Jordan, and that and since that's close to you, maybe you or somebody in your area can go and check
We'll be
by
monitoring.
7 o'clock
Yeah, we'll be
if
monitoring.
it's not there.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll be monitoring. The issue I have is, again, there's been different polling managers at that precinct,
Mhm.
and the signs are coming out. So, like I said, don't know what the issue is. We're gonna get to the bottom of it. We're gonna bring it to the board of registration election attention.
I got a simple solution. One of us, somebody in our circle become a poll manager for that precinct. And that should solve that,
But I think the solution would be holding the supervisor, whoever is over this, that's where the accountability
Mhm.
lies. Because there should be more than just the check off list. There should be someone going behind
Mhm.
to make
Well, they-
sure that XYZ is being done. So that's really where the accountability lies. And so like, I think what Edward was saying is like, one person is saying this person, that, but you gotta get down to the bottom of
And they have training prior to all of this for all the poll precinct captains and the poll what do they call them, people at the poll. So that might be something to find out, is when's the training, how's the training, how do we make sure all that's done?
So,
That ain't it. They-
Oh, no, but understand, if you don't catch it at the process, then by the time it's not there, there's nobody.
to that add some real life experience, I've been a poll monitor, or inside or outside, every election for the last 10 years. I've worked at Rose Jordan a number of times. Worked at other places, and if there's no signage, or if I say, hey, look, you need to have more signs, they call, or I make a call into LBJ. LBJ calls the down to BB, and someone comes out in a truck with signs and places the necessary signs. When I worked at Rose Jordan a few times, and I said, hey, look, you need to have signs down by the road, you get pushback. And as I said, I stayed with was told to me about the difficulty monitoring signs down by the road. So I think for as long as you don't deal with their concerns with it, it's going to continue to happen. So the thing is to have a permanent fix, and there's no reason why anybody won't put the sign down there, and it's going to work. There's no justification for not doing it at all. And at the same time, the same crew that comes around and add signs, deliver equipment, if something's missing, they can put those signs up. Because the people in the office, that's a long way for them to go down there and put those signs up and do. So some days, when you make the call and the election officials decide to send somebody up to do that, that's that day. The next day, it's the same scenario. Back to no signs out there. So a permanent solution is something that needs to be had for that particular location because of the way the road is, traffic is, and so forth and so on. So that's why I suggest putting those permanent signs, poles out that you can just attach the signs when necessary to that. You can use for other events as well. That solves the problem. Now they don't have to worry about the poles falling over and being worried about liability and so forth.
We still got to worry about where they're gonna put the sign up there.
So,
Even if it's all there.
so I got a couple of comments online when you're ready.
You can have the guys that come around and do the signs. Do that, because they have people who ride around the truck to do those kinds of things. You have them come around and put it up. That can be part of their routine regularly to make sure that those signs are up and come down at night. I wouldn't have the old ladies, no disrespect to you, but it's usually a lot of older people doing that work, trying to put those signs down. That's maybe why there's resistance to it in that particular location.
I don't think
So-
it's about age. I truly don't think it's about age.
Go ahead,
So-
ask some questions, Ken.
Yeah, no, actually, a good comment, Pat, Hardrick, put in there, that we need to, can we have a sign waving day where volunteers make a path before voting, so folks can see where to go, so,
I like the idea.
yeah, I think that's a great idea, Kat. You know?
I like the idea. Ultimately, like I said, we're gonna, brainstorm some solutions.
Mhm.
I got some ideas from things I was told at the board registration election meeting about policies and procedures that are not in place to ensure a certain amount of signs are out. And so that's gonna be one of our recommendations, that there'll be some hard policies put in place so that there's no more excuses about putting the signs out.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't mind us volunteering, but we can't be there
Yeah.
16 days of early voting, however many days it's gonna be an early voting. That pretty much ends my report.
Okay, got one more comment about another topic. I think Dr. Toya said, in terms, she was asking a question, and it says, her home is besides, Bay Creek, and she wanted to confirm if you, that you are trying to support a recreation center there to be used for early voting, and she was asking if that was correct.
That's correct. Our organization will be advocating for an early voting precinct at Bay Creek. So we will be talking to Commissioner Watkins about that soon. We just ask that community members, no matter where you live in Gwinnett County, but especially if you live on that side of Gwinnett County, to, when we get dates, to show up at the county meetings, for the park and recreational meetings, that we advocate for dollars to be set aside to have that park built. The board of registration election board themselves, those 5 members that serve on the board that make the laws for Gwinnett County as far as the election, they understand it's a weak spot. Like I said, they've been looking for an early voting precinct over there. Again, the issue, if we can get this done, and I believe we can, the issue we're gonna have at Bay Creek gonna be very similar to Rose Jordan. Because from where I was told by the Parks and Rec director, the community center will be at the back of the park in Bay Creek. So we're gonna have to so that's why, another reason why I'm pushing so hard for Rose Jordan to get the signs fixed. Because once that community center is built and they do have elections, there needs to be proper signage to say this is an early voting precinct and let it go behind the community center. So it's not gonna be one of those, like some of the other parks that we have in Gwinnett County, where as soon as you come in the park, community center is right there on your left, on your right. It's gonna be kind of in the back, very similar to Rose Jordan. So that's why, outside of the fact that it's been a chronic issue for multiple elections, that's another reason why I want them to tighten up whatever protocols they have, so that
So you live not too far from there, right?
yeah, that's my side of the county. Yeah.
So, aren't there any decent sized church in the area or any other place that they could have as?
Well, like I
That's
said,
what
they've
this
been
has to
looking
be
for 5 years. A lot of the mega churches in that area have backed out. They committed and then backed out. There are big churches, but nobody.
They don't want to do it, okay.
Or they have before, but they're not committed to doing it permanently.
Right. So some of the churches do it for the election day,
Mhm.
but not for early voting. And so, a lot of churches don't want to give up, 2.5, 3 weeks of early voting.
Okay, one last question. Again from Kat, is there protocol to place signs that volunteers are aware of when they are poll watchers? If that's not their role, then we need to look into protocol.
So there's protocol to do it, but there's no policy in place that says that they have to put out a minimum amount. So
Okay.
it's really left at the discretion of the precinct how many signs to put out.
Got
So it's not like there's no signs. It's just the problem is there's not enough signs to direct people where to go. So there's signs at the community center. Typically there's a sign, sometimes it's big, sometimes it's small, at the front of the park. The problem is, our biggest answer is going to be that policies be put in place where, hey, certain precincts have, 10 standard minimum signs that have to be put out.
Mhm.
Places like Rose Jordan may need to have a minimum of 20.
Or like a policy to where, depending on where the actual voting precinct is located within that particular area, that part, that there's a certain distance that signs need to be strategically placed. Because
Correct.
like Edward was saying, if you think of something like Lenore Church Park, it just doesn't matter. When you turn in, you're going to the left to go around to the gym to the center. But if you have something like a Bay Creek, if they're going to be putting it in the back, or if you have something like a Rhodes Jordan, it's too many different roads you can turn onto to get to this place, that place, or all around. So that's a part of the policy that they'll have to create to say, hey, these signs have to be strategically located this amount of distance from the actual precinct, physical precinct itself within that location. So that can be a part of their policy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, one thought that just popped in my head, the candidates. Usually they got a whole bunch of
Right.
signs to say vote for them. If they at least can coordinate to make sure that their signs going all the way to, well, because they have a certain distance they have to stop, but at least the person will be close enough, to find the actual spot. Is that something that?
Well,
Yeah.
that park is so big, I believe it's the signs can't be within 100
Right.
feet. So it's like even 100 feet from the community center is still so confusing.
Right.
There are so many roads off of Rhodes Jordan.
And the community center, is that where
It's
the
at the
basketball
pier.
court?
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
across.
Across.
Yeah, but it's so far in the back. I know we've been talking about this a lot. We can talk about this in that meeting, but it's very close. Yeah.
Those are policies that are in place for that. What Edward's saying is that there's not currently a policy in place for the signs.
Right.
To say, okay, it has to be this specific distance, close to the actual precinct, like what you're saying for the candidates. They cannot have their items outside of I think it's 100 feet or something like that. So you have to be strategic there. So there is a policy for that, but not for this. So that's what is going to be fought for, to have a policy actually set in place.
It just shouldn't be site to site, you should just be able to see from one side to the next one. Because it goes in terms like, so, just site to site.
All right.
Mhm.
So that is my report, and I'll move on to the last agenda item before I open up the floor, which is just a few upcoming events. So of course, we talked about the different town halls, so I won't go over them again. We'll give a friendly reminder since we're close. Upcoming Freedom Fund Banquet will be September the 20th at the Beaufort Community Center at 6 p.m. So we're gonna have fun, we're gonna dance, we have a good time, we're gonna give out some awards to some community leaders and advocates. We're gonna announce the winner of our Subscribing Life membership, which that actually ends August 20th. So if you pretty much sign up and become a Subscribing Life member, which is $75, actually that's going up to $1,000 next year. So it's 10 payments of $100. The Subscribing Life membership is 10 payments of $75. And then you're a life member. You're no longer subscribing to a life membership, you're a life member. So 10 payments of $75. Every payment you make between now and the 20th, you'll enter into a raffle for each payment, which will be, we'll do the raffling at the Freedom Fund Banquet and announce first, second, third place. First place will win a laptop. Second place will win a $100 voucher at Flavor Rich Restaurant and a $50 AMC gift card. So it's like a dinner and a movie. And then there's a voucher for 2 at Paint and Twist. Paint and Sip. I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting. Paint and Sip. Paint and Sip. Yeah. So that's third place. So some great awards. So if you've already paid your $75 for the year 2025, you already been entered in. I know you ain't got your raffle yet. I'm sorry. They put me responsible for mailing out the raffle. I will get the raffle out this weekend. No later than next weekend. You'll definitely have it before the event. And for those of you who paid your $75, including myself, because I had to renew my membership this month. So, yeah, so your name will be going in the hat. And I got the little machine, the roller, so we can announce those. That just came to Amazon yesterday. So if you have not signed up, please go to www.gwinnettnacp.org, www.gwinnettnaacp.org, and join our organization. And it gives you a discount off of the Freedom Fund ticket. So instead of paying $150 for your ticket will be $125. And that's with the regular membership or a life subscriber membership. You get that discount. And that's while supplies last, because once these tables start selling, you ain't got your ticket, I'm sorry. So definitely take advantage of the lower discount. And I will talk to the Freedom Fund Committee, because I do think, because we've extended the lower price for the general public of $150, which is going to be $175 after August 20th. We gave the general public a lot of time to take advantage of that lower rate, as well as those who are going to get a table. They got the discounted rate down to $1,300 for I think 3 weeks. I'm going to talk to our Freedom Fund chair and the committee about at least giving the membership until September the 2nd, which will be about 3 weeks from now, to give people time to buy their ticket at that $125 rate. So the next event we have coming up for this month is going to be our book club. This is our first one. That's going to be on George Jackson, Blood in My Eye. The cool thing about this is we're going to do it a little bit differently. It will be fully virtual. However, if you are a member, you will get a link to come in live and talk about whatever passage in the book that you want to discuss. Please keep it PG, because we may have kids watching. Please come in and actually talk about something that's in the book, and don't be getting off topic. If it's something that's happening today that you want to tie into some things that were said in the book by George Jackson, you definitely can do that. And we'll hope to do this at least every couple of months. We'll have some different books that we're going to be reading. And the goal is to educate people about not only the importance of voting, that'll be part of it too, but the importance of organizing, the importance of looking at real world experiences and being real about the society we're in. It's a capitalistic society, and how we have to try to organize to change the way the society is. So, in commemoration of Black August, which is about, political prisoners, we're going to start with George Jackson and the former Black Panther, and talk about his life and some of the things he went through being behind bars during that period of time. That'll be on August 26th at 7:30 p.m. is when that event is scheduled to take place. We do have the upcoming health disparities virtual forum, and we'll have Dr. Christina Gagne, who will be discussing women's maternal health. There are some very alarming statistics, especially in the Black community, among Black women. They're right now trending much higher in terms of maternal deaths than the Black women across the state of Georgia. She also be discussing diabetes and those disparities, some very alarming statistics. And a lot of those statistics we'll share that as we lead up to that particular event on social media. Our social media team is working on flyers to advertise the event and put out some of those statistics. But so she's going to give us some information on what we can do to get these rates down, at least on a personal level. I'll come in and maybe talk about it from a policy perspective, or maybe I'll talk to one of our elected officials that specializes in health or even serves on the health committee and talk about what can be done for public policy. So we'll iron it out, but that's going to be on September the 2nd at 7:30 p.m. as well. And that is the upcoming events. Any questions about any of that before I open up the floor? So, even though John already went over the education town hall, which is why I made him do that earlier, I'll go over it again. So the education, town hall is coming up in the month of September on the 15th at Discovery High School off of Old Norcross Road in Lawrenceville. And the time is at 7 o'clock is when everything's gonna start. We will have special guests, Al Taylor, the superintendent, will be our special guest along with some of his staff, just to go over, like, Second Vice President stated, different metrics of what GCPS stand. I know there's been a lot of articles from the Daily Post, that seems to be sort of beating GCPS up about, some of their milestones, but there are actually some really good statistics that came out and that will be highlighted at Town Hall. So that's some more information that you need to be aware of.
Thing is, it's progress.
And the theme is progress, GCPS progress report. All right, anything else?
Oh, yeah.
What was the date on that education town hall?
Education Town Hall will be on September the 15th at 7 p.m. Monday.
What was the, date for the blood in our eye? Like,
By George, yes, next. That is going to be streamed live on our Facebook, and it is, and YouTube and Twitter. It'll be on August 26th at 7:30 p.m.
Yeah, let's say, because I was looking at the YouTube. If you have not subscribed, go subscribe to the YouTube.
Like, subscribe, share, all of that.
Yes.
The floor is now open for any discussion at this time. We do have a special guest here who's look like he's running for office. I see a tag.
Candidates,
Oh, it's two candidates? Yeah. Yes. No, it ain't 2026. Yeah, but I guess we can get started. Girl. All right, but go ahead and introduce yourself, Ms. Kane. You're alone. You member, go ahead.
So we're standing.
Yeah, yes. Go right up.
Where is is it Jim still live?
Yeah, we're still live.
It's still live.
And you can come from your seat.
All right. Good evening, NWHCP. I'm a member of your organization, and as you know, I'm Michelle Kay, and you are 2024 Democratic nominee for House District 99. So I ran one of the most comparative and most closest races in the state. I came within 620 votes. So I came back to finish the job of flipping the seat. As you see, I'm a first-generation Korean American, and I'm a proud mother of 3 daughters. And I ran small businesses across Georgia and ran restaurants in Gwinnett County. I know what working families, immigrants, and small business are facing because I've lived it. And I came back with more knowledge, more experience, and more fire to finish the job. I'm not just talking because I've been delivered, and that I consistently show my record will what I will do. I'm one of the most active community organizer and activist in the area, and then I first established Swanee Asian Festival in here in the area, and I executed 3rd festival in this June. And I'm a leader of Stop Asian Hate, and then I build a coalition between intergenerational and interracial when we had March 16 Atlanta shooting, 2021. 8 were killed and 6 were Asian women. And for immigrant defense, this year especially, I've been stood with you shoulder to shoulder and speaking about, ICE and the mass deportation and everything, because immigrant community need to be protected. And my children, they were all public schools product, and I strongly support public schools and championing small businesses. So here I'm back, and my priority this year, because we know we are still very scarce, and there's a people who are deciding we need to put the food on the table or we need to choose the roof, bring the roof over our head.
Yes.
Our priority is financial sustainability and financial well-being for working families and expand the middle class. So let's talk about universal childcare because the 10,000 per person per child is a lot of money. It's a heavy burden for millennial parents. Let's talk about the tax relief. What about the people like ultra wealthy? They have a loophole to using every time, but working families, we are always victimized by the tax loophole. And talking about accessible healthcare, especially because of the one ugly bill, Medicaid cut and SNAP cut. 310,000 up to 700,000 people will lose their coverage. And my mom, she's 82 years old. She broke her hip bone. She went to hospital to have the surgery. Now she's in rehab. She has to pay $250 per day without Medicare, Medicaid. You know, she cannot be survived. It's lifeline. And we need to protect that healthcare in Georgia. And then that's why we need to elect Democratic nominee, Democratic candidate to go to Georgia House because we have a lot of things to do to pass the bill. And we have to strategically think who will flip the seat. Who will flip the seat and strategically think who will get the investment from the community. Because I've been in the community and I'm very strongly community rooted in the community. And then I'm the one working to flip the seat. Because one of my intention running for office is build a Democratic majority in the House. That's one of my priorities. So this year I came back and is strongly advocating Democratic agenda, Democratic value, because this year, especially under Trump administration, everybody in danger and we've been attacked. So I'm here to support you and here to representing you, and let's finish the job. And that's what I'm here for. Thank you very much.
I do have to preference, NACP is nonpartisan, so welcome to come to our event, and we will give you a moment to come up and speak. Again, I do know we got some, good Republicans out there that probably will be some good candidates running for office. We just need y'all to actually get your name in the race, because so far, we haven't been like what we've been seeing from that party, especially given how the administration is acting. So those who are out there that is a Republican voter, future candidate, we need you to, jump in the race on that side, because, again, these two-party systems, the two parties can work with each other to pass an agenda about getting funding to the local level for affordable housing, for healthcare, for education. But unfortunately, right now, it seems everybody's bending the knee to the felon in chief, and that hasn't been good for our community. So at this time, I'm gonna bring up the next candidate.
Hey everybody, my name is Shelly Abraham. I am also running for House District 99. I think we learned a lot last year as Democrats. I think we learned that we came short. I think we learned that we're going to have to do some things differently. So, this year I propose a different workshop for Democrats called Build a Backbone Workshop. The thing about the Democratic Party is that we've held back for so long. Working families right now are hurting because we fell short last year. As I was formerly the secretary of the Democratic Party for Gwinnett, I have received countless phone calls complaining or just commiserating about the suffering going on in our communities. I had one elderly Black woman call me and she said, she is fearful for the future of her grandchildren. We're losing our country. And I, for one, do not want to sit out. I mean, by day, I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm an introvert. This is not what people like me typically do. I'm not, but this is personal. my generation is being affected by housing. I'm very much living it. You know, I'm trying to buy a house this year. Finally saved up enough money with my wife to buy a house. But what are the options? There's not many options to go around. So I'm committed to building more housing that young families can actually afford. I'm committed to making sure that when these young families, you know, have kids, that they can go to school that's fully funded, because we haven't updated our QBE formula since 1986. I want to make sure that they all have access to healthcare. Too many people have healthcare that's just tied to their employer, and many go without. About 11.5% of the state of Georgia residents don't have healthcare. And, you know, this is after, it's probably going to get worse now that they cut Medicaid. And we have the money, and if we have the political will, we could be expanding Medicaid at the state level, and all these people would have access to healthcare again. So what I'm saying about the future is we need to be bold. The Republican Party has not been fighting for these issues, but I also know that, you know, it's easy to be depressed. I think people like me can get depressed about the situation. And my wife told me something about myself. It's like, you never give up, Shelley. And I just snapped myself out of it. And I said that, you know, I can sit here and complain, or I can be part of the solution. And that's what we need. We need people who are dedicated to the solutions. I want to work with Republicans, Democrats, Independents, whoever, to make sure that the problems of our time are handled. And right now it's an affordability crisis. And I also want to make sure we're building the Gwinnett County for the next 20 years, because I've been in Gwinnett County for 20 years. And we have seen massive expansion in our population. It's a great place to be. That's one of the reasons why we haven't had enough housing built, because of this massive expansion. But there needs to be investment in starter homes. We need to be thinking about the future long term. We need to be thinking about climate change. So I would ask that, you know, you consider me for your vote next year, and thank you very much.
Y'all want to say your websites for anybody that want
My
to?
website is shellyabraham.com.
Okay. My website is my first name, last name, FORNGA, Michelle Ken, 4GA.com.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that's Michelle with L, right?
2 L's, that's right.
So at this time, that pretty much wraps up our meeting. The next general meeting will be September the 11th at 7 p.m. I'm trying to signal the dot to get ready to end the stream. So thank you all for coming. Those who are watching online, y'all have a good night. And yeah, go back and replay this again and again, and you know, catch up. If you came in kind of in the middle, you can go back and rewatch again, because it will be recorded. I think somebody asked me about the minutes. We don't do physical minutes for our virtual meetings. At least not our general meeting. We do them for our regular virtual committee meetings, but we don't do it for this. You can go back and watch this meeting. So with that being said, y'all have a good night, and see you all September 11th. Hope y'all tune in on August 26th for our book club.
Oh, it's very punctual, it's 9 o'clock. 10 minutes at 9 o'clock.